So we just got. I've talked a couple of times. We had an American on stream.
Had an American. This man's voice.
We had an American guy on stream game one because a few of the guys are over from the US for this tournament, and we're going to go for.
Hi, it's me, John again. I've got another interview. Who are you, and where are you from?
I'm Rory. I'm from Salt Lake City, Utah. We came up for the tournament, and it's been really great, really fun.
So what team are you playing this weekend?
I'm playing Corn for the first time. It's not going great.
So welcome back to Block. This is my video on my NAF Championship trip, where I was able to play in the NAF Championship in Nottingham, England. A little bit of backstory. I saw they were running out of seats. I think they were at something like 250. And I was like, oh man, that's like a dream. I'd love to do that. But what are the odds I'll have enough money saved to be able to make this trip? And my girlfriend will want to go, and then I just don't think it's going to happen. So I bought a ticket. Later, I told my girlfriend, hey, I bought a ticket to this thing in England. I know you probably don't want to go, so it's just a pipe dream, and I'll probably just let them know I can't go and maybe get a refund. And then, amazingly, she was like, I guess watching a lot of Outlander, was like, I want to go to Inverness. I want to visit Scotland. So she was on board, and I was amazed by it. And she was able to save a lot more money than I was. So really, I have her to thank for my Blood Bowl trip. We spent something like 12 days. We had a layover in Dublin, landed in Edinburgh, rented a car, and I drove all the way to Inverness. We ran around there, and I visited the people, and I had a really great time. I ate haggis for the first time, which I think is actually kind of dope. I don't know why people make it sound gross, but it's fine. It's like oats and meat. It's good. And a lot of black pudding, beans, just traditional English breakfast, which I had, I think, consistently at every hotel the whole time. Yeah, it was just amazing. And then when we finally got down to Edinburgh, I was able to travel around there, especially old part of Edinburgh, and the castle is just amazing. It's like stepping in a time machine. We don't have anything like that in the U.S. I think when my girlfriend was visiting Nottingham and I was playing, she went to a museum, and she was kind of surprised how everyone was looking at the dinosaur skeleton, like the fossils of like a Tyrannosaurus Rex. And we had spent our entire vacation looking at all these castles, which if you go on Google Maps, they pop up like Starbucks. They're just kind of everywhere. And I love the history of it. So we were all about these castles. And I think for natives who live in the UK, they're kind of in the way and kind of boring. But where I live in Utah, dinosaurs are kind of boring. I'm tripping over dinosaurs. There's dinosaurs everywhere. And it was a good impetus when we got back. I said, you know what? I've never been to a dinosaur dig. So we drove out a couple hours into the desert and just visited a live dinosaur dig. And we were looking at the fossils still in the ground. It was really cool. I'm glad we I guess, took advantage of what we have available here that we take for granted. The other thing that was amazing is I got to visit Warhammer World, which is another dream of mine. I went to Bugman's. I got a beer. I met some of the people I was going to be playing with. Saw some amazing dioramas. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see enough Beastmen because I played Beastmen in Warhammer Fantasy for years and years. That was my total jam. I also love Skaven. I have a bunch of old models from there that I built, oh man, in the 90s. So, man, walking around Warhammer World is a trip, and I recommend it. Do the thing, I think it's like 10 pounds or something, and you can do the tour of all the dioramas. And even though there's a lot of people there, almost nobody was in the diorama section, so we had it to ourselves. I took a bunch of pictures. I don't think they're that great through the glass, but I hope I did them a little bit of justice. I know a lot of them have mirrored backs, so you can kind of see my face and the reflection of my hands and stuff. But, oh man, what a trip. Like, absolutely amazing. As a longtime Warhammer guy, even though GW makes some missteps and it's getting more expensive, it's still something that's, like, really dear to me, and it brings back good memories. I've always loved playing. I've got a lot of 40k stuff, too. I put together a Gene Store Cults Army recently. I've played with it all of 4 or 5 times. I think 40k is more fun to think about and put together than it is to play. I really miss Warhammer Fantasy, though. I think that was my jam. And I think Blood Bowl is one of those games that, because it stagnated for so long, it's such a good point in its rules. And I have to congratulate everybody that works on the NAF for keeping the community going. And it sounds like the GW Open that's coming to Missouri, Kansas City, they're going to use some NAF players. So it's going to be run by Luft out of Florida. So I'm excited to go to that too, if I can swing it. I'm also trying to do some other tournaments this year. I'm going to go to Boise. I'm going to try to fly out to Calgary in Canada for Powtown. So I'm excited about that too. And then obviously I'm going to go hang out with Jethro and play in Chaos Cup, which is basically the NAF Championship of the United States. So it's our, I guess, evil chaos version of the Blood Bowl. So that's really exciting too.
Coaching-wise, he's not consider himself.
Oh, is that what's happening?
All right, minor bit of admin. So the fire exit is over there, and over there, and over here. If there is a fire, leave. Also, don't start any fires. So lunch is at 12 today. As soon as you finish playing and lunch is out, you can go grab it. If you're vegetarian, there'll be lots of vegetarian options out there. If you have another dietary requirement that you let us know about, we'll have your lunch here at the stage to make sure no one else pinches it. We'll be handing out the free gift during round one, so don't worry about that. We're going to play some hurry up music when there's 5 minutes left in the round, so just keep an ear out for that. After you finish playing, you've got time, check out Twitter and Facebook for all the awesome stuff Alex is putting out. And also check out T-Sports Network on Twitch, who are very kindly doing some awesome coverage of the event. And also let's give them a wee clap.
So, very stupidly, I decided to do Khorne. I liked the models, I had already bought them, and I was like, this is a great opportunity for me to put the team together and paint them. So I waited till the very last minute. I got them done in just a couple nights. Just basically basing them, priming them, and then just doing a Nuln Oil wash. And then I think they actually became table ready pretty quickly. But I was not familiar with Khorne, not really sure how to field them. I did something I think is dumb. I took a lot more Khorne Gores because I thought they'd be more consistent than the linemen. And then repeatedly throughout my games, I felt, man, I wish I had Frenzy right now instead of Juggernaut. And it kind of bit me in the butt. I really feel like the Khorne team, it sounds so counterintuitive. Okay, my blood spawn is the muscle, and then you find out he's just not that reliable. And he's not breaking armor like you need him to. You have your blood seekers, which you know are good, but they're just not getting the job done without Mighty Blow. And then you take a bunch of Khorne Gores thinking those are the safest bet, those are your ball handlers, your safety. And then you start deciding, you know what, I really just wish I had more linemen. I wish I had more rerolls. A lot of the time I was hitting something with a Khorne Gore and thinking to myself, man, I wish that had Frenzy. I would have preferred to do that with a lineman and maybe ring things out. What I discovered with my roster was that I just wasn't doing enough damage. I was often losing more pieces than I was removing, and it just didn't work out great for me. I also had some pretty hard matchups. Couple undead, dwarves with a lot of guard, which ended up being a super pain when you have this much frenzy. But I'll get into the games. My first game was against a goblin team, so he was able to take 2 stars. I know one of them was the bomber, and what I found out about the bomber was that he is devastating. And I think the first bomb he threw was to my blood spawn, and my blood spawn caught it. I think I rolled a 6, and I was super surprised and amazed and excited. And then he told me, by the way, there's a special rule. I can just detonate it. So I was like, oh no. And then he rolled the dice, and everyone was casualtied. Everybody. And then everyone went into the casualty box, including the blood spawn, my tackle piece that I really needed against those goblins. I think a blood spawn, and then, a blood seeker, and then I think one of my linemen. It was devastating. And I kept wondering throughout the game, how is he rolling so many 6s? I don't think he's rolled a single 1 this entire time. And it was starting to bother me, and I was like, this doesn't make any sense. This guy's got some hot dice or some extreme luck. This doesn't feel right. And I wonder if in the back of my mind, it's because I was seeing the emblem on the dice and 6s, and my brain just wasn't putting it together because that's never happened before. And then throughout the course of the game, I finally said, hey, can I look at your dice? And we discovered the symbol was on the 1. So he was basically rolling dice that had just 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 2 6s on them, and was absolutely crushing me, and I couldn't figure out why. So once we figured it out, he apologized, and he said, hey, you can put that stuff back on the board. And I said, don't worry about it, we'll just play through it. And I think that set a good tone for the rest of the tournament, where I was like, you know what, I'm not playing optimally. Like, we've already had some bad luck, we played some stuff wrong, so I'm not going to play too competitive. I'm not going to try to win too many games. I'm just going to have fun. I'm going to do goofy stuff and not worry about, the disappointment of not being on a top table. And that ended up being a really good attitude, because I made a lot of mistakes in the next few games where it just wasn't working out for me. I did end up winning this game. That's one of the reasons I said don't worry about the pieces. I think I beat him 2-0, 2-1, something like that. Generally really nice guy. He gave me some dice, and I felt awful because I looked at him and I said, what country is this? I'm sorry. And then he's like, Northern Ireland. And I don't know what Northern Ireland is shaped like, so that was news to me. And here you can see the dice. You can see a 6 and the 1. Just good advice for everybody. Double check your dice. Make sure you know what you're doing. He had just bought them that day, so he didn't know. Totally fine. Not a big deal. Throughout the game, they started handing out capes for, I think, the leader in wins, most touchdowns, most brutal. In round 1, we were able to get our special gift. I think the special gift actually has 2020 written on it, so you can see it's a holdout from a couple canceled tournaments. Nobody knows what it's for. It's kind of like this cool enamel embossed metal ball. And I remember asking the TOs, I was like, hey, what's it for? And they said, whatever you want. So use it as a token for anything you want. It's super cool. It looks like I'm proposing. So when I got back to the room and showed up my girlfriend, she was a little disappointed. Lunch was super funny because we basically had elementary school sack lunches that just had like a sandwich and an apple and some chips in them, a little dessert. I thought they were super funny. It was fine. And I got to hang out with a lot of the other bubble guys and talk about how their tournament was going. We had this awesome little green area in the back with some picnic tables. My second game was against an awesome guy who was playing dwarves. We kind of both caged in and kind of just bounced off each other for the first half of the game. Second half of the game, his guard was just overwhelming, and I had a really hard time. This was a game where I had the ball on a corn gore, and I blitzed away the guy tagging me, and I rolled 2 both downs. So I knocked my guy down, and I was like, oh, that sucks. I could have scored. And then after the game, we were outside, and I went, I have Juggernaut. Juggernaut's really good in that instance where I can just blitz something away, make sure I get the push, and then run it in. I probably needed a go for it. Probably didn't have a reroll, so it's not guaranteed I would have scored. But I threw the game for myself. So I think this one was a 2-1 loss when it probably should have been a 2-2 tie. But that probably would have just bumped me up to a higher table, and I would have just gotten creamed there. So maybe it's better that I stayed where I was. My opponent was super nice. He invited me out for drinks after, and I said, I think I have plans, but man, everybody was just so cool, and I had a great time playing against everybody. I think that this team definitely struggled with the high armor combined with all the guard. Just was not a good matchup for the Corn. My next game was insane. So I ended up on the very, very bottom table, and I couldn't figure it out. And I sat down, and there's this little boy across from me playing with his models, and I'm like, did I do so bad that I'm playing this 3-year-old? Is that really what's happening right now? And and the mom was there watching him. So I was like, okay, like I'm gonna cream this kid. Like I'm gonna win. I'm pretty confident. And then I found out he was just hanging out there, and his dad came over. His dad was super cool. He asked for the bottom table just so his family could be out of the way. So then it made more sense why I was there. I wasn't just losing the entire tournament. We had a good game. I think we ended up tying. A lot of it was just didn't have a lot of tackle, couldn't stop the ghouls, and he had the strength and the mummies to muscle me out of the way. Again, really think more frenzy would have been better, and maybe if I threw in another reroll, that would have helped me. And that seemed to be the theme throughout the tournament with my corn and how well they were performing. That night I was able to go out with the TOs. We had Indian food for dinner. We had a discussion about tipping and whether you're supposed to tip in England, and we couldn't figure it out. And I said, well, as an American, I feel obligated. I want to. And I think we argued about how much you're going to tip. I ordered the biggest, most amount of things I could. I wanted to try all the different curries at like a more authentic Indian restaurant in England, especially after eating beans and blood pudding for a week straight. I also ordered 15 cobras. I'm a huge fan of the cobra. If you go to an Indian restaurant, you gotta get the cobra beer. It is the TLs are all amazing. These guys donated a lot of their time. Seriously, the nicest guys I've ever met. I was able to hang out with some of the American guys too. They invited us out. Yeah, and we were able to get beers after. Also, something I want to talk about in England is the beers all come in their own glasses. So if you order a beer, you're going to get this funky, weird glass that has the name of the beer you just got written on it, which I think is so unnecessary and complicated. I know it's maybe a branding thing. It makes sense for some beers. I know like Guinness, you'll normally get in a Guinness glass, but that's really the only beer I think in the US that's like that. Normally it's just, here's a cup, put beer in it, don't worry about it. But here it's almost like, what's got the funkiest glass? Like, let's get like a weird beer that's going to have some like strangely angled ribbed glass. I'm going to drink out of that. And then maybe I'll get a different one and they'll give me a different glass. I wonder if it makes the dishes difficult. I don't know. Or if they ever say, listen, I can't pour that out of glasses. The hotel in Nottingham was inside of the University of Nottingham, and it had some cool stuff. This was something I'd never seen before. A pancake machine. It just makes pancakes. And you can watch it through a little window, and it just like squeezes out the other side. I thought that was worth keeping in. I think all Blood Bowl shows and podcasts are technically food podcasts.
Yeah, I think we're going for it.
Yeah. Also, I think the podcast will be...
Okay, this is my next game. This is game 4. This was against Undead. I absolutely crapped the bed. I rolled like a 1 and a 1 on my blood spawn, and then he got knocked out. And then I just started losing pieces. And I was getting absolutely creamed. And my opponent was so nice about it, and we were having a really good time. And then one of the TOs asked me to do the interview, and I was like, thank God, I can just get up and have a break from this. And yeah, it was really cool to do the interview, and they just asked me a few things about how my games are going, how I like the tournament. They asked me, they're like, so you coming next year? And I was like, I'll have to think about it. A lot of that was just, will my girlfriend do this again? Will she also, save a few $1,000s so I can go again? And we'll see. But next year is also World Cup in Spain, and I really want to do that. So that's the big plan. So if I can swing this, I'll do it. Probably can't do this and World Cup, but yeah, I had fun. I'd do it again. My next game was Dark Elves. I don't remember a lot from this game. I think it was one of those ones where late the second day, I knew I wasn't doing well, so I was just hitting those beers. I was a few sheets to the wind at this point. I think I tied the Dark Elf player either 1-1 or 2-2. I'm pretty sure we tied. I had enough frenzy that I could just keep him back, and I think he was scared to face some of my heavy hitters with the Bloodseekers. So most of it was just bouncing off each other. I was able to get the ball in. I had the muscle I needed. I think I also was successfully removing his players. So by the end of it, I don't think he had that much left on the field. This was one where I think, honestly, there's a bell curve for Blood Bowl where you have a few beers and you're making riskier plays that tend to pay off. And I was at that sweet spot, you know, where you're wrapping Christmas presents and you're cutting the paper and the scissors start to glide. Like, that's where I was here. So I was doing really well, able to take out the Dark Elves. I think we tied. I don't think I beat him, but maybe I did beat him. We got to the point where I think he only had like 4 players left on the pitch, maybe 5. So I was feeling pretty confident.
Forum Coaching Hawks. Let's enter round 6, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get ready to Blood Bowl.
After that, my last game was Slan. He had a bad kick, and I was able to touch back, so I gave it to my blood spawn, thinking he's not going to hop into a cage and take out the blood spawn. And the first thing he did was hopped into my cage and took out the blood spawn. I realized that all of his guys had guard, and he was just flooding in with guard. And then I think he hit me with 2 dice, and I was like, is that possible? It's 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. So, yeah, he got the ball immediately. And I was able to just outmuscle him, remove a lot of these frogs, and I think I ended up beating him. But it was one of those games where I was I was drinking a lot, and a man showed up dressed as an orc, and I've seen that dude on YouTube before, and I was just like infatuated with it, and I was like, I gotta see this guy. And I walked up to get a beer, and he started talking to me and asking me about, like, so how's the game? How's Blood Bowl? And I was like, just too drunk. And I was like, I'm having a good time, Mr. Orc Man. Like, this is amazing. I'm overwhelmed right now. I don't know what to say to you. Just amazing. Good game. The Slan guy, I think, was a little disappointed that he wasn't getting through my defenses as well as he wanted. And I think a lot of that was because of the frenzy. I was making sure that he was spaced out and he couldn't kind of hop into a single location and really take out my ball carrier. It was a good game, especially for, I don't know, for 16th beer at the end of the match. I probably looked pretty aloof during the game, so I don't know if he was frustrated from that or not. But also an amazing opponent. Everyone was so cool.
The NAF. Andreas from Romcover Arts, who did our awesome logo and helped us with design. And Leap for helping us with the rules pack design over the last few years. And the last one, which should be really big, is for the East Midlands Conference Centre and all the staff. I think they've been fantastic. And then even bigger than that is for these clowns, the referees. Right, nice, on to some prizes. Winning the Stutty Cup with Goblins, clear on 8 points, it's half a brain! Rising star, which is Thomas W.
Just before Jim announces the winner, I know he's already thanked the referee crew, but big hand of applause for our head coach, our head referee, Jim Grenwell.
And then the winner, it's Sporran! thank you everybody. The final standings are up on the NAF Championship website, and hopefully the results will be in the NAF website shortly. But thanks again for coming, and hopefully see you next year.
Okay, something else about Nottingham, England. That's where Nottingham Castle is, as well as Nottingham Forest. So we found the strangest place I've ever seen in my life called the Robin Hood Experience, where they've taken, I want to say, kind of terrifying looking mannequins and then dressed them up like Robin Hood characters. And then you walk through basically a haunted house with Robin Hood audio playing and then like Robin Hood paraphernalia. So stuff from the movie from the 90s, stuff from the old TV shows is just like on the walls. And then we had this piece of paper with trivia and a scavenger hunt to find things in the Robin Hood Experience. And I gotta tell you, next to Warhammer World, this is the most amazing thing I've ever visited. Absolutely insane.
There you are, finally. Come along inside. Stop wasting everybody's time. Right inside, all of you. Stop lounging in the back there by the door.
So we decided to leave a day early and go to London for a day. And we got a hotel right across from, I think it's called the London Eye, which is this giant glowing Ferris wheel. And I was able to walk around London. Also very cool, old city. Stuff like this just doesn't exist in the US. I was able to go to the art museum there, see some cool stuff that I've only seen in like photos and pictures, and just kind of walk around. But at this point, I'm so exhausted from going up and down steps and castles that my knees are killing me. And I'm like, no more stone steps. I'm ready for this like 8-hour plane ride home. So let's get on that. And I also want to say the London Eye is very pretty, but if you're in a hotel room right across from it, it is the brightest, most obnoxious thing I've ever had to deal with. And seriously, it was very bright. But in all, man, I love Blood Bowl. I love hanging out with these guys. I'm so excited. I'm happy I went. I hope you guys like listening to this. I hope it wasn't too long. Yeah, I really wanted this channel to be about my Blood Bowl tournament experiences, about my trips, more than my knowledge of Blood Bowl, because like I think I'm okay at it, but I don't think I'm the best player. And I really want to focus more on the experience of going and playing just as much as the game itself. So if you guys are down, check out my content. I'm going to be going to Canada next. I think I just went to Colorado for World's Edge Bash, where I won. Well, I won't spoil it. I'll let you know. I'll make a video and then you can watch it and then you'll know how I did. Thank you so much, guys. I don't know. I need a outro. Roll. Never re-roll a push. Bye.